Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths that is based on the advanced information given to us by the exam boards. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. The range is just the biggest number, take away the smallest number. Biggest number in this list is 15. The smallest number in this list is 3. So 15 take away 3 is 13. So the range is 13. So a prime number is a number that is only in the 1 times table and its own times table. So 4, for example, is not a prime number because it is also in the 2 times table. 6 is in the 2 times table. 15 is in the 3 times table. 21 is also in the 3 times table. 9 is also in the 3 times table. Now 1 is a bit of a special case. The definition is that it has to be in 1 and its own times table, and technically 1 is only in one of those. So 1 is not a prime number. The smallest prime number is actually 2, but 2 is not in this list. 23 though is not in any other times table, so 23 is a prime number. When collecting terms, you've got to make sure you're collecting like terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this question out, but I'm going to use a different colour for all the things that are like terms. So we've got the 14x, we've got the 8x squared, we've got the 8x, and we've got the minus 5x squared. So the like terms are the x terms, so 14x plus, I should say 8x, plus 8x, and the x squared terms are like terms, so we've got 8x squared, take away 5x squared. So we can do 14x plus 8x, so 14 lots of x plus 8 lots of x is going to be 22 lots of x. And we can do 8x squared minus 5x squared, 8 lots of x squared, take away 5 lots of x squared is going to be 3 lots of x squared. Now typically in our answer we'll always put the x squareds first, so it becomes 3x squared plus 22x. The first thing to do when working out what angle things need to be on a pie chart is to add up the frequencies. So we're going to do 14 plus 7 plus 3, and we find out that that's 24. Then we're going to find the angle that one item would be. So one item is going to be, well, there are 360 degrees in a triangle, and there are 24 items. So we're going to do 360 divided by 24. And that gives us 15 degrees. So each item is worth 15 degrees, or will take up 15 degrees. So to find out the angle for red, well, we've got 14 items, times it by 15, and that will give us 210 degrees. And we're just going to times each of these by 15, which will be 105, and the final one times 15 is 45 degrees. Add them up and they add up to 360, which is good. They need to add up to 360. So we got our protractor, rest it on a pie chart. Now we know 180 is down here, so the first thing we're going to do is just mark that on, because the first angle is going to be 210, so we know that's 180 so far. So I'm going to turn my protractor around, and from 180, 210 will be another 30, so I'm just going to plot that on. And then I'm going to join it up. So start at the center and join that up. And we're going to stop when the circle stops. Then to do 105, we're going to put our protractor in the middle. And we're going to look at 105, which will be up here. And then we're just going to join it up with a straight line. And then we're just going to check the last angle. And so if I put my protractor on it, and it is 45 degrees. Perfect. Now, an important step to not miss is you need to label them. And so the first one is red, The second one is blue, and then the final one is other. This coordinate is telling us to go 2 to the left from the centre. We go right when it's positive, we go left when it's negative, so it's 2 to the right. And then it's telling us to go 1 up. It's up because it's positive. So we need to go 1 up, and we get to the coordinate of B. So the coordinate we get to is B. And so we just look at the -2 on the x-axis and the 1 on the y-axis, and that is where point B is. Another way of thinking about 19 over 8 is just 19 divided by 8. And to do 19 divided by 8, we put 8 on the outside and we do the bus stop. And we've got 19 there. So 8 doesn't go into 1, so we're just going to move that 1 across. 8 goes into 19 twice, but there are remainders, so we'll need to put some zeros on the end here. And it's remainder 3. 8 goes into 33 times, and there's a remainder of 6. 8 goes into 67 times, and there's a remainder of 4. And 8 actually goes exactly into 40, so we didn't need some of those zeros. So the answer will be 2.375. I'm going to start just by copying out the question. So we've got x over 12 equals 4. And when we're asked to solve, it means we need to find out what x is. We need x equals. And the method for doing it is just by putting lines either side of the equal sign, our solving lines. And what we need to do is we need to get x on its own on the left-hand side. What's stopping x from being on its own? This over 12. What does over 12 mean? Well, it means divide by 12. So how do we get rid of it? Well, we do the opposite, the inverse of divided by 12. What is the opposite of divide by 12? Times 12. Now these lines show us that whatever we do on the left-hand side, we have to do on the right-hand side. So we have to times 12 both sides. So on the left-hand side, we're left with x. On the right-hand side, we do 4 times 12, which is 48. So our solution is x equals 48. There are a number of different ways of working out this question. You can find out the amount of tissues per penny. You can work out the amount of, or the price of one tissue, or you can get all the amount of tissues into the same amount. I'm going to find out the price per one tissue. And we're going to start off with the 24. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the money into pence, just to mean that we don't have as much decimal. And we're going to do 807. I'm going to divide by the 24 to find out the price of one tissue. So that is 33.625. And so I'm just going to round that to 33.63. I'm just going to round everything to 2 decimal places, which it says in the question. Next one, we're going to do the 20 soft tissues. So this time I'm going to do 683 divided by 20. When I put that into the calculator, you get 34.15, so that's already 2 decimal places. And then finally we're going to do the 15 soft tissues. So we're going to do the 623 divided by 15 to find the price per tissue. It should be 41.533 blah blah blah. And rounded would be 41.53. So if you buy 15 tissues, it will cost 41 pence. 20 tissues, it will be 34 pence per tissue. But 24 tissues will be 33.63. So that's by far the cheapest. The best value is the 24 tissues box. Now, there's such thing as buying in bulk. Generally, the more you buy of something, the cheaper it is. Don't rely on that, both in the GCSE, both in the exam, and in real life. Sometimes in real life, if you buy more of an item, actually per tissue, sometimes it becomes more expensive, especially if there's a special offer on the smaller box. To answer this question, we need to cut this shape into 2 shapes. So we're going to draw a line across here, and we're going to cut it into a rectangle and a triangle. Now we need to first of all label the parts of the triangle. So the length or the width of the triangle, the base, will be the same as the base at the bottom, so that will be 20 centimeters. And we need to find the height, which is this length here, which is 90 degrees to the base. And to find that, what we can look at is the fact that the total height of the whole thing is 13, and the height of the bit we don't want is 11. So what's left over? Well, 2 centimeters will be left over, so the height will be 2 centimeters of the triangle. So let's work out the area of the triangle first. Which is going to be half times base times height. Half times the base, which is 20, times the height, which is 2, will just give us 20. Now let's work out the area of the rectangle. And that's just going to be the width times the length. Width is 20. The length is 11, so that would be 220. Then to work out the total area of the whole thing, we're just going to add those together. So 220 plus 20, which is 240. The units are all in centimeters, and so the area units will be centimeters squared. We need to first of all work out the theoretical probability. And to do that, we do the successful outcomes over the total number of outcomes. So here we're asked, it lands on a red is successful, so that's going to be 15 over the total amounts. That'd be 40 plus 30 plus 15, which is 85. Okay, now to find the expected amount, it's just the theoretical probability, which is 15 over 85, times the amount of trials, where it says it's spun 500 times. We just go times it by 500. And we get the answer of 88.235, blah, blah, blah. And we're always going to round that down. Okay, so if it's 88.9, we're always going to round it down to 88. Only when it gets to 89 do we write 89. So our answer is that we're expecting roughly 88. So adjacent angles in a parallelogram add up to 180, and the reason for that is that we've got a set of parallel lines here, and both of these angles are within that set of parallel sides, so they're actually co-interior, interior, or allied angles, whichever you choose to call them, and so we know that they're going to add up to 180. So we're going to do 180, take away the 61 we already have there, which is 119. So our answer is 119 degrees. The experimental probability is the successful outcomes divided by the total number of outcomes. So we're looking for the probability that it's white, so it's going to be 25 over, and we're just going to do 35 plus 25 plus 31, which is 91, and that's our probability, 25 over 91. Be careful when it say total, you must include all of the outcomes, so red, white, and other. There's a formula we use for this, and it is percentage change is equal to the amount that's changed over the original amount, and all of that times 100%. So how much has changed here? Well, we need to do 10,488 take away 10,254, so that would be 234. Divide it by the original, so the original was 10,488 because it's decreased from that amount, and then times by 100%. And so that's going to be 2.23%. So factorise means to put it into a bracket, and it looks like it's a quadratic here, but it's actually just a linear factorising because we don't have a number term. So we're going to just use one bracket for this. And looking at these terms, I'm going to focus first on the numbers. So 20 and 30, I can divide both of those by 10, and that will leave 2 and 3. So that's the numbers done. Next, I'm looking at the t terms. So we've got t squared there and a t there. So we can divide out a t, but that will leave a t on the first term. And finally, I'm going to look at the u, and there's just a u on both of them. I can factorise out, and actually that just leaves nothing on the inside of the bracket. Now, always when you do this, expand the bracket to check if you've made any mistakes. So I'm going to do smiles and rainbows. There's loads of different methods. So 10 times 2 is 20, t times t is t squared, and then the u, plus 10 times 3 is 30, times t times u. So we know we've got the right answer. So our answer is 10tu brackets 2t plus 3. First thing I'm going to do is just draw the square out, and we know the length of it is 10x plus 10, but it is a square, so that's the same all the way around it. But we're also told that the perimeter is 440, so the perimeter is 440. So what we can do is we can work out the perimeter in algebra by multiplying 10x plus 10 by 4, or just adding up the 4 lengths that we've got. So we're going to do 4 times 10x plus 10. But we also know that that is going to be 440 because we're told in the question that the perimeter is 440. So put our lines in because we're going to solve, and we're just going to start by expanding the brackets. So that'll be 40x plus 40 equals 440. Then we're going to get rid of the plus 40 first, so take away 40 both sides. And so that would be 40x equals 400. And then we get rid of the 40 before the x, so we divide both sides by 40. And we've got x equals 10. So our answer is 10. So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus. And so we've got 12X. And then on the last bus stop, 19 passengers get on. So plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on. Because 5 bus stops with X passengers. So that's 6X altogether. And then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less. And the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality. And we've got x on both sides, so we look at the x's. We've got 12x and 6x, so we always take away the smaller amount. So we're going to take away the 6x both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got x is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for x? Now, it is tempting to write down 10, but it says x has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angled triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle. So it would be 49 squared plus b squared equals 68 squared. And 49 squared is 2,401. And 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have a, we've got our b, and we're going to call x the c. So it would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148, we've just worked that out. And we're looking for c, in fact we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared, and we'll just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants its two decimal places, so that will be 61.19. We can write the equations of all linear graphs as y equals mx plus c, with m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. The easiest thing to find is the y-intercept, because it's just where the line crosses the y-axis, so that's going to be -2. We're going to use that point, so the point we've just drawn on, and we're going to have to find another point to find the gradient. Now, I don't really like this point because I don't really know where that is, and we've got to find a coordinate we know the coordinates for. So looking at this, this is a nice coordinate here. And what I'm going to do is just draw a right angle triangle between the 2 points. Try and get it as nice as I can. And we're going to work out how far up and how far right we went. Well, we went 3 right and 4 up. Now, to find the gradient, what we want to do is we find out how much y has changed, so change in y, so that's how far up it's gone, which is 4, and put that over how far right it's gone, so the change in x, which is going to be 3. So our equation is going to be y equals 4 over 3 x minus 2. So the first thing we need to do is work out the mean for the data in the table. So to start off doing that, we're going to work out the midpoint of each group. So we've got 80 to 85, and to find the midpoint you add the 80 and the 85 together, then you divide by 2. So this will be 82.5, then 87.5, then 92.5, then 97.5, and then finally 100 plus 105 divided by 2 is 102.5. Next we need to find the ft, which is just the frequency times the duration of calls. Now in this first group we're not timesing it by 80 to 85 or anything like that, we're timesing it by the midpoint, so our midpoint effectively becomes the t. So we're going to do 15 times that, which will be 1237.5, and we're just going to keep going and multiplying each of these together. And then finally 2050. Right, next we need to add up the frequencies and add up the FTs. So we're going to have the sum of the frequencies. So I'm just adding all this column up, and that will be 80. And we have sum of the FT, And so we're going to just add this column up here. And so that would be 7,450. So what this column represents is all the numbers added up together. This column represents how many numbers we have. So to find the mean, it's all of the numbers added together, which will be 7,450, over the amount of numbers we have, which is 80. So when you do that, we get 93.125. Now this question is about the improvement that we've made, or that the manager has made, the call centre's made. So we're looking at subtracting the 93.125 away from the last week, which was 105. So we're looking for improvement. And we're going to do 105, take away the 93.125. And that's going to be 11.875. Now it does ask for 2 decimal places, so that will be 11.88. So there are 2 outcomes that it will rain once in the next 2 days, and that will be rain and not rain, and not rain and rain. So to work out the probability, it will rain on Monday and then not rain on Tuesday. What you're going to do is just multiply 6 over 20 by the 2 over 7. So 6 over 20 times 2 over 7. And that will give us 12 over 140. And to work out the probability, it will not rain on Monday and rain on the Tuesday. We're just going to multiply the 14 over 20 by the 5 over 7, and so that would be 14 over 20 times 5 over 7, and that will give us 70 over 140. Now we're looking for the probability it will rain and not rain, or not rain and rain. The word "or" in probability means add. So we're going to get that 12 over 140 and add it to the 70 over 140, and that will give us 82 over 140, and then we can cancel that down to 41 over 70. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.